A round silo is 45 feet tall and has a 17-foot radius. How high would a load of 15,000 cubic feet of grain fill the silo? Express your answer rounded to the nearest foot. Now, we are going to assume that it's empty to begin with, because if it's not empty, that would change how high the load of new grain would be. So, we're going to assume that this round silo is empty. So they tell us it's 45 feet tall and it's got a 17-foot radius. Now, the fact that it's 45 feet tall really doesn't do anything for us in this problem, because they're saying how high. We're finding the height. The height is our unknown, because they're saying we had a bunch of grain. We put grain in. What is the height of that grain? Right? This is what the problem is asking. So this 15,000 cubic feet, that's the volume. The volume is 15,000 feet cubed. So we've got to kind of work backwards within our volume formula. So recall that the volume of a circular prism here, this round silo, cylinder, that's the word I'm looking for, volume equals pi r squared times height, where r is the radius, and height is, in this case, what we're trying to find, right? But it's how tall it is. And remember that pi, and for our example here, in this example, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so let's go to a page where we have some room to write. So volume is pi times r squared times height. Now let's plug in what we know. From the first page, we talked about the volume. We have 15,000 cubic feet of grain. And that's our volume, right? How much we have. We just said that pi was 3.14. We're going to multiply that by the radius squared. Well, it told us that the radius is 17. And we are trying to find the height. There is our unknown. So recall that the equal sign in an equation splits it into two equal halves. Whatever you do on one side, you got to do to the other. So before we start playing with this equation and manipulating things, let's go ahead and simplify on that right side. So the order of operation tells us that we should go ahead and square this first. So when I square 17, I get 289. So 3.14 times 289 times our unknown h, and that's still going to equal our 15,000, right? We're just simplifying at this point. Now, I can also go ahead and just multiply these two pieces together. So when I take 289 and I multiply by 3.14, I get 907.46, and that's multiplied by h, still equals 15,000. Notice that I'm not rounding at all at this point, because we want to be as exact as possible up until the very end. So now you can see in this orange step, I have an orange number touching h. And if a number is touching a variable, that implies multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we are going to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by that number that's in front of h. Because any number divided by itself is 1, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 907.46 divided by 907.46 is 1. And I'm left with 1h equals 16.52. Okay, well, 16.52 equals h. Remember, the directions on the first page said round to the nearest foot. Well, right here is the ones, right? You could say 16 feet, 17 feet. That's the nearest foot. I look one past. 5 tells me to round up. So I'm going to go ahead and say the height. Okay, go back to the original problem here. We had a round silo, and it had a 17-foot base. We added a bunch of grain. The height of it would have been 17 feet. That's what this says. If we would have dumped all that, 15,000 cubic feet would put it up to a height of 17 feet.